In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Welcome into Eye on Retirement, a product of Market Advisory Group. I'm your host, Rick Everett, along with Matt Goolsby from Market Advisory Group. And Matt, when we look at strategizing for retirement, there's different tools that do different things to get us to where we want to go. The diversification is a good thing, but also as far as maybe one tool you start off with in retirement doesn't work so well for you down the road, as far as if you're trying to take money out and not get soaked in the process. Insurance products are often used in portfolios, and what are some of the downfalls to that?
Yeah, take this story here. Her name's Deb, and Deb works with an advisor that he goes back and forth from here to Kansas City. We do that as well, but it's not us. And he does dinner seminars out there, and Deb met him through going to a dinner. And he is insurance licensed only, and he took her entire nest egg and put it in insurance products. And that seemed fine for Deb at the time, but as the story goes on, it started to become more apparent that might not have been a good decision for Deb.
How so?
So some problems that arose were liquidity options. So and liquidity being how much cash she could access without being penalized. And these contracts that he put her in only allowed for 10% to be taken in at one time. So she had $200,000. So if she had an emergency more than $20,000, she was going to be in trouble. But I've also left out taxes because these were IRAs. So not only if she had an emergency larger than $20,000 was she going to be in trouble, but if she needed $20,000, she didn't really have it because she'd have had to pay taxes on that too. Speaking of taxes, how I actually met Deb is she'd called her advisor several times to try and get a hold of him to do a review because she wasn't very happy with him, understandably so. The previous month, actually it was the previous year, she'd needed $1,000. And so her advisor's name was George, and George sent her the full 10% of the free withdrawal that she could take out of this account. Sent her $10,000 when she only needed $1,000. Sounds right, or sounds nice, right? But not so much, because again, this is all IRA money, and it's going to cause a taxable implication. Actually caused her to pay some more taxes on her Social Security. But this advisor thought, well, just let's send her the whole 10%. But she only needed $1,000. And she found out that was really expensive for her come tax time. And that was just a huge disadvantage to not having a tax professional to help that advisor walk through that scenario and figure out, hey, if we take too much out, it's going to cause taxation on her Social Security, or maybe more taxation on her Social Security. And then also the fact that he did her pretty much an injustice or a disservice to the fact that she had all of her money tied up in these two contracts, and she couldn't get access to much more than 10% of it, and that was unfortunate for her.
And in some of these insurance products, it's not like a mutual fund. You can't just stop this one and reinvest it somewhere else. They are time sensitive?
Yeah, some of them that I've seen out there can be as short as 1 year. Some of them can be shorter, like 5 years and 7 years, and now I'm going up the scale. 10 years, 14 years, 17 years.
So your money is actually locked up for that period of time?
100% of their money is locked up for that 17-year period on those 17-year contracts, unless they're taking those free withdrawals out. And you got to think about yourself. I mean, if you're going into retirement and maybe you're 63, you're not going to have access to 100% of your money until you're 80. And then they tie up someone's entire nest egg in these accounts. It's just, a lot of people will throw the term out there, fiduciary. And we operate under the fiduciary standard at Market Advisor Group. This person claims to operate as a fiduciary too, but I can't understand how they operate under the fiduciary standard, tying someone's money up and having liquidity issues, not knowing tax implications, not knowing all these pitfalls. And end of the story now is Deb is now working with Market Advisor Group, getting the investment advice she needs, getting tax advice she so absolutely needs. And we work together with the tax department whenever she needs a withdrawal to make sure it's not going to impact her overtly in a negative tax way, and that she knows what she's going to have to pay in taxes before she takes the withdrawal.
It almost sounds as if there are some advisors out there that use these as investment tools for people that, from the advisor's standpoint, it's a set it and forget it, because does the advisor not get paid on the front end of those?
Oftentimes the advisor is paid up on the front end of those, which is unfortunate because, again, if it's a multi-year commitment, don't you expect service in return for that? And we find that a lot of people that have unfortunately been in a situation similar to Deb's, that they're not getting the service. Well, Matt, my advisor hasn't talked to me in 3 or 4 years, and I don't know, they went off. In fact, I met with a guy that was put into some of these products, and the advisor that put them there actually went to sell cigars the next month and doesn't even work in the financial services industry anymore. And that's unfortunate because the gentleman was named John, and John needed that advice. John's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing here. But the advisor made a juicy commission and walked away. And that's not operating under fiduciary standard. That's not doing what's in the best interest of that individual.
Is there a preferred age to where one of those insurance products is maybe not a good idea, or does it depend on the life of the contract itself?
Probably hard to get into too specifics with how much time we have today, but there's a right tool for every job. We were talking before the show started, to use the example, if you wanted to drive a nail, you wouldn't use a screwdriver. If you wanted to screw in a screw, you wouldn't use a hammer. I mean, you could, and you could use those tools, but they're not the ideal tool for the job at hand. And when you're working with someone that's limited on what they can offer you, and if that's the only thing they can offer you, then unfortunately that might not be a right situation for that individual. And you want to make sure you're getting someone that can not only use multiple tools in the toolbox, but also has access to the tax advice, the estate planning advice, and the Medicare team along with that. Because if they're working with an advisor that's giving them just that one-sided advice on maybe the investments or a tool or an insurance product or any of those things, and they're not looking at the tax implications of that, you're not getting a complete picture.
Market Advisory Group provides a holistic approach to retirement, meaning that Market Advisory Group has the people in place to look at all the angles of things that can affect the retirement.
That's right. We work with a whole team here at Market Advisor Group. We have financial advisors that work with Market Advisor Group. We also have tax advisors and CPAs and enrolled agents and a tax team that work with Market Tax Services. We have an in-house estate planning attorney that runs Eidelman Law Firm. And of course, we have our Medicare division, Market Medicare Advisors, with Corey and Bill and their team that help you find the right solution for your Medicare needs. And if they're not out there working with people that have that complete team in one place, I'll meet with a lot of people that say, my old financial advisor, they said they had a CPA they could refer me to. These are not referrals that are happening. These are people, this is a complete team that can come in the conference room, meet with you as a group, and work through your situation to see maybe what could cost you money in the future, what you might not be getting service with now, and help you with that complete plan from the tax side, estate planning side, Medicare side, and investment side. So if you're out there helping or having someone help you with your financial nest egg, you're overpaying for incomplete advice if they're not helping you with that. So reach out to our office at 316-252-8707. We have operators standing by right now. Schedule a no-cost complimentary consultation to you, or visit ionretirement.com, and you can scroll right to the bottom of the website and book that consultation. Come in and have a one-on-one conversation with our team to find out how you might better your situation in retirement.
And it's important to know, with Ion Retirement going across the entire state of Kansas City, if you're not in, or the entire state of Kansas, if you're not in the Kansas City metro area or Wichita, the Zoom is always a good way to go ahead and make that contact and receive that free consultation. You can find us online anytime at ionretirement.com, and we'll be back with more right after this.
When people work with Market Advisor Group, they get a feel of sense of family. There's a lot of relationships that are made and going on in this conference room, and we really take a lot of pride in that and a lot of satisfaction in that.
Every client we work with, we make a custom-made plan to fit them and help reach their goals in life. And then another thing that makes us unique is we want to meet quarterly with our clients and have reviews.
Market Advisory Group, we have a process, and the process we take people through is first to understand what they have, understand who they are, and then we put together an income plan for them and show them how they can look forward to retirement and not look, though retirement is going to be a stressful time. It needs to be a stress-free time.
A few unique features of working with Market Advisor Group is holistic in-house financial consultants. We've got an in-house CPA, Joshua, an in-house estate planning attorney, Gerald, an in-house Medicare advisor, Bill. We rely on all of those professionals for, again, additional service within our consultative process, making sure that we've got the advice and the expertise behind the recommendations that we make.
You know, as an advisor, I'm not there to sell them one way or the other. I'm there to educate them, to let them know what their choices are. Then I try to help them make the right choice where they can save money and feel confident in their decision.
Absolutely the best part of my job is getting a stack of paperwork from somebody and they don't know what to do, and then I can turn around and give them back a tax return, but also to be able to explain what they can do next year that will give them a better answer than what they had this year.
When we've got clients that are calling and they need to help out a child or need to help out a grandchild or need to help themselves out and they're in a situation they didn't expect to be in, I really relish the opportunity to help them through that, help them make the educated decisions in somewhat stressful situations, because a lot of folks don't have that type of counsel.
We meet with so many people one-on-one in this office that don't ever end up becoming a customer or doing business with us, and that's okay. But when they leave our office, we know that we've helped them either get some answers to some of the questions they had or get some clarity on maybe their own path.
But one of the things that we hear all the time is, I wish I would have met you guys 10 years ago, because how much further could I be down the road? Well, Johnny Appleseed said, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. And so if we can help people today going forward, that just brings an incredible amount of comfort and excitement for us to come to work every day.
Welcome back into Eye on Retirement. I'm Rick Everett, along with Matt Goolsby with Market Advisory Group. And Matt, in most households, different people have different roles. Mine is mowing the lawn, as an example. Usually, though, there's one or another person that is primarily in charge of writing the checks, paying the bills, overseeing the finances. And in the untimely event of one of the partner's death, the other one, a lot of times, is left with not very much knowledge of how to move forward in those processes. And Market Advisory Group is there to help in the aspect of financially.
Yeah, and I have a story that fits that just right. Like you said it. I mean, when you're in a relationship or a partnership, it's not uncommon for someone to have different duties in the household. Help a gentleman that came to me through one of our Social Security classes. He came up afterwards and almost tears in his eyes, and he said, "I need to meet with you right away." And I thought I'd maybe said something to upset him at first, and I wanted to be sensitive to that. Came in almost, I think, the next day, and learning over the course of a conversation, having that consultation with him, found out he'd lost his wife recently in a car crash, and he'd never really had to mess with the finances. That was really his wife's job, his spouse's job. And obviously losing a partner or a spouse unexpectedly is going to be a traumatic experience in and of itself. But then also now the weight and the responsibility of fulfilling a job duty that he never really had to think about was now all of a sudden his sole responsibility. So we worked with him on getting a monthly budget set up, because it's important to know what you're going to need in retirement. It's important to know what it takes to run your household. I'll often say in our retirement classes that we teach, you cannot manage anything you cannot measure. So we need to start off with, what is it costing you to run your household on a monthly basis? Then we reverse engineer that and say, now where's the income going to come from? Is Social Security going to be one of those checks? This gentleman was still not of the age where he could file for Social Security. He was still under a certain age amount. So you can start filing for Social Security on your record at age 62. But then we looked at, okay, so where is the income going to come from? And he had multiple pots of money. He had an IRA, he had his old 401k, he had some non-qualified money, some after-tax money. So we worked with our tax team to make a tax-efficient income plan for him, not just an income plan. I'll often see financial advisors out there talk about income plan. Income plan's great. What is your tax income plan too? Because those different pots of money have different tax implications to them. Working with him now for a little over 3 years, and we now have him set up where we're meeting with him now quarterly. He's doing that budget plan and budgeting monthly for those expenses, and then helping him reconcile that. And we step in there because no one wants to face tomorrow without their spouse or their loved one. You go most of your life spending it with that partner. But when the unfortunate happens, we're there to help them step in and be that guiding person to maybe help that person have a little bit more maybe confidence in their financial plan than they had just on their own.
For a person approaching retirement or a person in retirement, what say you as far as a healthy amount of time for an advisor to meet with their client? In other words, once a year, once half a year, once every 5 years?
Well, as this world is changing rapidly, we want to make sure we're meeting with people quarterly. Now, I will tell you, Rick, some people say they don't want to see my ugly face but once a year. And so we're not going to make anyone meet with us more than they want to. But ideally, there's a couple things that are seasonally going on when you retire. Tax season is one of those seasons. Medicare open enrollment is one of those seasons. So there's 2 reasons just in and of itself that they need to be coming in and having a conversation just to have not only get their taxes done with us, but maybe check up and see if they could save money on their Medicare coverage plans. And on top of that, we want to make sure as their portfolio might need adjusted, maybe their life changes, maybe they lose that spouse, maybe they actually retire and they switch from their employment income onto Social Security. Maybe they take a big vacation, maybe they have a project. As those things are happening in their lives, we also want to stay up to date with them and make sure the plan is going to plan, because no plan is good without being monitored or implemented. A plan just by itself is just that, just a plan. But life throws a lot of things at our way, and we want to make sure we're meeting with them on about a quarterly basis, 4 times a year, to make sure that we're helping them stay up to date and on top of all these things. And as you know, they're talking about tax legislation changes right now. As those things will change, we'll need to be meeting with our people that we help in their plans, getting them with our tax advisors to make sure they can stay up to date on those changes. And if you guys want these team members at your disposal, feel free to give us a call today. We've got operators standing by, 316-252-8707. Come in and have a complimentary conversation with us and our team. We can get our estate planning team in there, our tax team, our investment advisor team, and our Medicare team, and maybe have a conversation with you and see what you could be missing, see what you could be saving and what you might be missing out on.
And Matt, if somebody's out there watching and they have an investment advisor, they hear from that person once a year, and they think everything might be okay, but if they just wanted somebody, a second opinion, if you will, can they call Market Advisory Group and also receive that?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not a good fit for everyone, we know that, but we want to have a conversation, just get to know you guys and have a quick chat over the course of an hour. We'll set aside that time to hear some of your concerns and maybe share with you some of the things we see in your situation that might be able to be improved with.
We'll have more of Eye on Retirement right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back into Eye on Retirement. I'm Rick Everett along with Matt Goolsby of Market Advisory Group. And in retirement, Social Security, a big part of many people's retirement. And one of the things I'd like to visit with you about in this final segment is survivor benefits as they pertain to Social Security and planning for those benefits per se.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's a lot of, I don't want to say a misconception, but there's maybe a misunderstanding of when you can file for that, because oftentimes people think the first age I'm eligible to start drawing any kind of Social Security benefit besides Social Security disability is age 62, and that's true. The first age you're eligible to file on your record currently is age 62, but widow's benefits, you can start collecting some kind of benefit as early as age 60. Let me tell you a story here. Bill and Kathy, they were a couple that we met at a Social Security class years ago, and they came in, had questions around Social Security. We wanted to work with them on maybe an income plan. Didn't think they were going to become a client of ours, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to be a good fit with us, and we get that. But the thing is Bill and Kathy, they did want to join Market Advisor Group. They liked the in-house tax planning, they liked the in-house estate planning attorney, they liked the Medicare advice when they'd turn that age someday. But they hadn't quite reached the age where they were old enough to start taking Social Security. They just wanted to start working with someone that had the information that they needed for when they started taking it. So Bill became a client with it. He moved his IRA to us, and about a couple months goes by, 3 or 4 months, and we get a call from Bill. And Bill says, "Boys, I've been given some bad news. The doctors say I have a very aggressive form of kidney cancer, and unfortunately, they've given me less than 60 days left to live." And through the course of having that conversation with them on the phone, we knew Bill and Kathy really well, but Kathy never paid a bill in her life, not too similar from the previous segment where, spouses have different roles in the household. So I said, "Bill, we understand. Let's come in and have a conversation and get a plan together." So they came in, and understandably so. Here's Kathy, and she is rattled, good and rattled. She'd been just given information that she was going to lose her loved one, her partner, that was helping her run the household with her, the finances, in less than 60 days. So Kathy's in there taking notes just so feverishly. She's not even really paying attention and comprehending what she's writing down. And so we went through kind of some things with them. Kathy was getting ready to turn age 60. She was 59. She would be eligible for widow's benefits. Bill's IRA would become her IRA. They had some life insurance from a long time ago on the house, so we were going to help her with that and get the mortgage paid off so she wouldn't have to worry about that as well. It gave Bill a lot of peace of mind that Jonathan and I were going to be there to navigate her when he got called home. So about 45 days goes by, and we get a call from Kathy. She said, Bill just passed away, and I'm so sorry, Kathy. We've got a plan for this. We've been working on this. Jonathan and I are here to help you with that. Take care of your family right now. Follow up with us when you have the death certificates so we can start helping put these things in motion. So she sees on her notes that she took from this appointment with us that she should call Social Security and ask about widow's benefits. So she calls, and if you've ever called Social Security, you're on hold for a long time because they're understaffed, and we understand that, and the demand is high, and the staff is not able to keep up with that demand. So when she finally gets a hold of someone, they ask her questions and say, "Okay, are you still working?" And she goes, "Yes, I'm still working." "Oh, are you going to continue to work?" "Well, yes, I'm now a single income household. I have to continue to work to pay the bills." Well, how much are you going to make? Well, I don't know. What do you mean? Well, how much are you going to make? Well, it fluctuates month to month. Give us an average, $2,000 a month. Well, Kathy, you're not going to be eligible for widow's benefits because you're going to trigger with what's called the forfeiture. And the gentleman on the phone wasn't wrong, and he wasn't giving her bad information. He just didn't know her information or her situation, like Market Advisor Group and Market Tax Services, because we helped Bill and Kathy with their tax return. And they ran a household business. They ran a household daycare, in fact. And after they could deduct their expenses, they would get under that forfeiture amount, because it's the modified adjusted gross income when it comes time for the forfeiture. And so good news is that Kathy's receiving her widow's benefit, and had there not been that advocate there that knew the system and knew how the system worked and the rules, she wouldn't be receiving a benefit, and she'd just be still working and just now collecting only what she was earning.
And it's another example that it shows just how much it pays to have a financial advisor that has a tax person on staff, because I'm guessing if Kathy would have wanted Market Advisory Group or Market Tax Services to make that call, they surely would have.
We actually would have. If she had came in the office, we'd have made that call with her and walked through that and helped her get all that. But we did in the long run. But that initial call when she made it, had that been the answer she received and left it at that, she wouldn't have been collecting anything from Social Security until 2 years later when
she would have been out.
Yeah, and you know, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And that's something that is so precious in retirement, is your time, and you can't get that back. And we want to make sure that if you're out there maybe facing some challenges, or maybe you have some unknowns, or just with all the volatility and the unknowns that we have in the world today, you need to have your situation reviewed. So feel free to reach out to us at 316-252-8707, or go to ionretirement.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you can book that 1 hour consultation, complimentary. We want to get our tax team together, our estate planning team, and our Medicare team, along with our investment advisors, to make sure you're not costing yourself dearly in the future.
And we do have operators standing by to take your call. So if you'd care to make that call, again, the phone number is 316-252-8707. Of course, you can reach us anytime through the World Wide Web at ionretirement.com. I'm Rick Everett, and I'm glad to have been here with you on this edition of Ion Retirement. On behalf of Matt Goolsby and the Market Advisory Group, we'll see you next week.
This broadcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed here are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any security, to represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or is excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Legal services are offered by Eidelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC. SEC registered advisor. This broadcast is copyrighted by Market Media Network. All rights reserved. Brought to you by Market Advisory Group. Invested in you. Call 316-252-8707. That's 316-252-8707. Or visit marketadvisorygroup.com.